Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Facebook Live conversation on grooming daughters in family businesses. Today, we have Sabina Bhanpurwala with us here in a conversation for grooming daughters in family businesses with Professor Hiten Muchala. Sabina Bhanpurwala is the CEO and marketing head of the firm Home, a leading manufacturer and a retailer of quality bedding products in India. She's also the head of international marketing and business development for the globally patent Ergo Shell mattress technology. Sabina has started her work career at a very early age, and today she's happily married and has a child and strongly supported by her family to achieve her vision. We have Professor Hiten Muchala here with us today. He's a practicing businessman and a very passionate teacher. He's a first generation entrepreneur with 28 years of experience. He teaches strategy at SPJ School of Global Management with the GFMB, where he teaches young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to prepare to join family businesses. Hiten sir, over to you, sir. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for the introduction and welcome all the viewers. This is our first episode. This is a big social movement that we want to kickstart today, which is grooming daughters in family business. How important are they? What change can they bring? What have they done so far? And we are going to listen from the people who have actually already done it, who are already there. And so today we have this young lady, extremely passionate about her family business, and her name is Sabina Bhanpurwala. So welcome, Sabina.
Good evening,
welcome
sir.
to the
Thank
show.
you so much for having me here.
I think I would like to first know what excited you to join your family business.
I get very happy actually sharing, the source of where it all began. I was about 13 years old, sir, when I think my father had already seen it in me that, I was interested in business because I would ask him questions which he was very surprised to hear from a 13-year-old. For example, I just come back from a travel, and the moment I landed, and I don't think I knew what this meant then, but my first question to him is, Dad, have the labor issues been sorted? And my dad jolted with surprise. He's like, what is going on here? So I think it's because I very closely watched my dad and my family, and I've been in a joint family. So the company is founded by my dad and my chacha. He's the co-founder. So I used to watch them, and he's been a very hardworking man. My uncle and my dad, both of them. And the kind of discussions that would be in the house, and the kind of ethics and the values and the honesty with which this company has actually grown and was made, and the kind of qualities I could see at that time, I think that was one thing that really encouraged me to be a part of it. I think it would have been very unfortunate if that would not have made me interested in really wanting to be a part of this legacy, now that I can call it. So yeah, that was one. And the second thing was, I never wanted my dad to miss a son. I remember having this thought very clearly, because this is obviously, I'm talking about almost 17 years back. And typically, of course, I'm from the Dawoodi Bohra community, and though it's a business community, but not many girls enter the business. You'll always usually have the sons. So I do remember a lot of them talking to dad that, okay, you're starting the business, so what's going to happen ahead? And I think somewhere I've picked up those messages, and I said, no, I'm not going to let this go just because my son doesn't have my father doesn't have a son. He's got a daughter, and I think I can do it. And I think that's where it all really began.
Wonderful. So I think the roots of your excitement into family business began at home, and actually are around these conversations and discussions.
Yeah, and I think
fantastic.
I'm fortunate about the environment, really, because the environment was very receptive to my excitement. They didn't shut me down. So when my dad saw this interest, he supported it, and that played a very vital role.
Fantastic. Why do you think grooming daughters in family business is necessary?
So very immediately in my head, it says, why not? But I think if the answer was so short, we probably wouldn't be here discussing this topic. So I think there are two angles to it. One is, of course, we're talking about grooming daughters and why that is important. Second is, of course, the business angle to it. What's in it for your business when you're really grooming your daughter in that business? And I'm going to address family business because that's my experience. I think every father what does he want for his daughter, right? You want your daughter to be happy. You want her to be independent. You want her to be basically prepared for life, right? You want her to be in a, be groomed that she can tackle anything that life has to offer. Now, when I think at maybe the kind of skills we learn in business, especially in a family business environment, what are these skill sets, right? Some of them are about maybe tackling difficult situations. We are learning to be compassionate. We are learning to maybe take failures in our stride. We are learning to maybe not let success go to our head. We're learning to maybe even face obstacles that we're not prepared for. These are also skills I think that we need even in life, right? These are skills you need to probably deal with what life in general has to offer you. So if I have this environment tomorrow, if I have a daughter, I would be more than happy to, have her learn these skill sets right under my supervision in my family business. So I think that's one thing for daughters in it. And if you ask me from the business angle, I think you're giving your business the opportunity to really have, a next leader in line who shares your values, who shares your philosophies. Trust and loyalty are not questionable there at all. I think you're very fortunate really to have somebody in your family who's ready to, and is an extension of you. So why deprive your business of that opportunity?
I think I love that word, who is an extension of you, son or daughter. Yeah, right. I think perfectly, very well said. An extension of you. And you need to prepare them to meet challenges, and family business, according to you, is one place, one learning school where, you can actually prepare your extension. And I love that word. So I'm going to use this. Right?
Because in family business, like the family and the business are always together. It's not like the corporate world where you're learning professionalism alone. Your professional skills probably are honing quite a bit over there, but over here, even your emotional skills are really developing. And I think it's a perfect platform to groom your daughter in.
Superb. I just loved your reply. When you entered your business, what kind of challenges did you face? Now, challenges at family level, challenges at business level. And now that you're married, you have a very, very young son, 13 months old son, right?
Yes.
Challenges at your in-laws level and and with your son and with your actual personal life.
Yes.
And how do you juggle with them? How do you manage them?
Yes, I didn't think about these challenges until we discussed about this yesterday, and that's when I realized, okay, these are mentionable. Some of them are unique to, let's say, my case, but I think some of them are also going to be which every women entrepreneur, every daughter is going to face. So the one thing was so that I started my career very early. I was around 14, 15 when I was in Sydenham College. So I used to attend morning college, and then I used to attend office, from afternoon onwards. Now, the challenge here was I was very young, and people I was working with, obviously are, twice, thrice my age. But not only that, the bigger challenge was that these were people I've literally grown in front of. Now, if you look at a family business, most of your employees have been with you for very long, right? Like your manager, your secretaries, especially people in senior positions have been with you for very long. So I had grown in front of these people, and now having to work, not just side by side, but eventually having to work my way up where they can, be comfortable taking instructions from me. I think that was that. And it's still till date, 15 years into the trade, and it's still a bit of a challenge of, how you can do that without being hurtful, without being disrespectful, yet making sure your work is getting done. So that is, I think, one challenge that I had particularly faced.
No, so was it because of your age, or was it because you were a girl, you were a female, you were a lady?
This, I think, was unique to because of my age. I don't think the lady bit kicked in yet, because yet I was the focus was not still about a female boss. It was still about, until yesterday, she was jumping on the mattresses, and today she's maybe guiding us how to make them. So, so I think this was more about my age. Then, of course, came the gender factor. All said and done, we are in a society where people are still not comfortable, taking instructions from women. I think especially when previously you've had a male boss, it's difficult to then get the same set of people comfortable with a female, entrant into the business. So that has been a problem. But I think when you ask me how I overcame that was, somewhere I made peace with the fact that this is the reality. This is how it is, right? Now, you have no option but to accept it. I think just like several other obstacles, I'm sure men have their own set of obstacles too. So I looked at it like that. I said, okay, this is a fact of this particular, of this line that I've chosen, this path that I've chosen. And okay, let's accept it and let's go with it. Having said that, it's not like a challenge, I've said I've overcome it. I think I have to overcome it every day a little bit, because you get faced with this every day. So these were two, of course, the age and the gender. Second was my marriage. So I'm from the Dawoodi Bohra community, right? And I think this is, of course, across most communities. Women don't get married too late. I was probably seeing, boys for marriage when I was around 21. I only found my match by about 28. Because when I took charge of, I wouldn't say took charge, but when I took the responsibility of my father's business, I think I was very serious about it. So my choice for a life partner and the kind of family I wanted to go in somewhere revolved around this decision. So I was looking for somebody who would not only be okay with it, but to a certain extent appreciate the fact that, I've put in maybe this kind of hard work, and I wanted a family also who's going to be comfortable with it. And so right now I have my mother-in-law, my husband, who's helped me prepare for this discussion just as much. And I was very fortunate to find an extremely supportive husband and family. So I think it is really about waiting and having that faith and holding on to your beliefs. I didn't think I was on a wrong path. So somebody was going to agree with me there. And I just had to wait for that somebody. And yes, I've been very fortunate that worked out well. Then, of course, like you mentioned, my baby, that has been quite a game changer. And I'm a fairly new mom, so I don't think the challenges are still very clear in my head. He's still not schooling, and I'm still not physically juggling between having to be at multiple places. But I think I can already see a challenge in the emotional space, really. Like in my head, it's very difficult to cut off from my work. Okay, now I'm with my son, so I don't have to think of work. I am still trying to really figure out how I'm going to manage that way. So that is a bit of a challenge, which I'm hoping to find an answer to as we go by and as he grows a little older. But again, I think I'm lucky that I have a very supportive family. Like my mom's the unsung hero here, my silent soldier, as I call her, really. So she's really taken charge of my son, and my career would definitely have been in a big issue if I didn't have somebody to back on. So my husband is supportive, my in-laws are supportive, my mom's there for me. So it looks like we'll sail through this one as well.
Okay, I think you already answered my second question, which was about how family support is important, be it your own parents, your in-laws, or your husband. And I think you answered it very well. It's very vital.
I'd just like to add on a little bit to that. So, okay, for me today, I'm talking about my husband, and because I'm at that stage of my, in life. But if we talk about maybe wanting to, if I'm addressing, other daughters who plan to, or other fathers who are planning to get their daughters, I think it's very important. The support of your family at different stages is very important. And most important is at the stage at which you really started. Because that environment has to be very conducive to, the freedom of expression. Is your environment conducive to a free dialogue? Can your daughter come and tell you that, what, I would like to be a part of our family business? Have you created that sort of an environment for her? So I think that at a stage when you're beginning, it's very important, and a father plays a very important role there. Are you creating that sort of an environment for her where she can come and tell you this? Or can she tell you otherwise, that, I'm not interested in it, I want to work elsewhere? And then are you open to guiding her? Are you open to have an open mind? So I think an environment that early is very important. Of course, then the environment with your husband is very important, your in-laws. Especially, I think, post-marriage, you don't want your business to become a reason of discord within the family. You don't want it to, become a cause of any sort of discomfort. It's very important that your in-laws, your husband, they're comfortable. And I think it's also very important as a girl for me to be able to balance it well. I cannot expect total support coming from them when I am not doing my part. So I think this bit is crucial.
Correct. So how do you manage those expectations?
I won't say I got it right in the first go. There has been, so I think again, having, an open communication. So like me and my husband we can have a very healthy discussion. If he sees that I'm probably going too ambitious somewhere, or maybe ignoring Orhan a little bit, we'll talk about it. But it will be a healthy discussion. It's not accusations. It's not negative. It's a positive feedback. And then
Wonderful.
obviously I need to take it well. So likewise, I think, but yeah, you don't get it right in the first shot. You learn when you make mistakes, and then you strike a balance. So like I do simple things like maybe, have 3 days, at least that's what I'm planning to do right now. Maybe work for 3 days, and then 3 days, I'm not working, I'm at home. Orhan has my attention. So I'm still trying to find a balance over it. It's not very clear yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. And quite understandable. How would you look at your journey in your own business so far? What kind of transformation or key changes that you brought about in your business? What are the areas that you worked really hard upon, which actually have become extremely productive and efficient? Would you like to say something about that side on your professional side? What kind of change agent you've been with for your family business?
Sure. So I think one thing was that when I started, I was the only girl entrant in the business. I mean, there were majority the management and employees were men, and I think a woman comes with her own set of skills which are very unique to her. Your soft skills, your even the kind of touch maybe you bring to the environment. So we had our showroom in the beginning. It was smaller. We started expanding, gradually, and now of course it's almost like a landmark in the area. I think when I started, we started with maybe professionalizing the environment to start with. I mean, we cater to a niche segment, and mattresses, of course, still being something that people don't take very seriously even now. It involves a lot of educating the customers, participating in exhibitions, and all of that, which I was actively part of. So I got into all of the processes, and I won't say I was the reason why everything just revamped or changed, but I think everybody agreed that we needed to sort of have a much more sophisticated image, a much more elite sort of presentation. So I worked on that when I joined in. That was one thing. And then of course it was challenging to think of expansion, to be very honest, because we are very few hands. I have my cousin brother who's in the business, but he's a technical person, so he manages the factory, the marketing, the showroom, the sales. Now that comes on me and me alone. So I couldn't have physical stores. We tried to do that. We had a store in Bandra that we had started, but it was very difficult to manage because in our trade, it's a very different style of presentation, style of selling. We literally personally are involved because we are dealing with those kind of people who are not sending their secretaries to purchase mattresses. They themselves are coming. So, it's a very different approach that we take. But that didn't work well. So we had to shut that store. And then I thought, what is my next option? So I realized that, okay, just as in Bombay today, Foam Home is the household name for mattresses, why not tap the niche in other cities which are maybe ready for a product like this? So I started with franchising. And as on today, we started with about 7 franchisees. Again, was very challenging. Today we are about with 4 franchisees. But I'm still trying to fine tune and, understand how we can better and how we can, make this model really click. So we have franchisees. So we have a better reach now. We're available in more places. Then came along, of course, this very promising technology, which was the ErgoShell technology. So my dad, of course, it needed a lot of experience to kind of come up with something like that. And the moment he did, I said, why not just patent and protect it? Because in India, it is so easy to copy things and literally ruin it. You'll just mass market it and make it a commodity, and that's the end of it. And I said, no, this has to be a lot more bigger. It might take us time, trouble, whatever, but let's take this direction. And yeah, we went ahead, we globally patented it, and we're really, really hoping now that it gets its much deserved response in the international market. So yeah, I think if you tell me, that's a little bit of my contribution all along.
So I think another question is, you said that you don't have a brother, right? You never wanted your father to miss a son as far as the business was concerned. Do you think your father would have thought differently had you had a brother?
I don't think so, sir. I've been so fortunate. My father has been a very, very progressive, man. And not just my father, my entire family, my entire environment. I've been so fortunate that I don't think he would have, at the most, I think he'd be happy that I have a helping hand. But I don't think he would think otherwise. Because in my family, so I started working. So I have my cousin brother's older. He's 4.5 years older to me. But I started working before him. And he was working elsewhere. And then I think after I joined him, maybe it excited him enough. And he tagged along around 5 years later.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Would you like to give one of your real life challenge as a lady or as a female entrepreneur into family business? Any kind of real life challenge where you really had to get your things across. You were not taken seriously, not because of your age, but because of your gender, and yet you actually finally emerged victorious. You were able to convince. Any such incidents that you can think of?
Not really, not honestly, not really. I don't think. And I think this has a lot to do with one is, of course, the time I've spent already in the industry. Today, I'm known in the industry because, very surprising, even in a product like mattresses, I'm still the only female in my position, which is sad. I mean, this is a household product we're talking about, and yet we don't see anybody's daughter entering the business. So I have been there for very long and people have known me. So I think maybe I cleared, the path of this difficulty thanks to my experience, thanks to my hard work, and thanks to the support of my family. I've never had to, at least not on the face of it. I don't know what they're thinking silently, but not on the face of it.
Fantastic. I think you answered the questions. I'm really happy. Some very important things for all the viewers. I think all of you who are listening to her. How important it is to start discussions early at home when children are young. That's very important because that is something that excites our next generation to join family business. How many of us do that? That's the first thing. Second thing is, I love the word that Sabina used, which was, are we looking at our child as an extension of us, whether son or daughter? Why gender bias? And look at what she has done to her business. Some amazing work, path-breaking work. She has gone into franchising. She's expanded her business. Now she has got a product patented where she's looking to sell out of India, explore new markets. Look at how would she be different from having a boy or a girl? What has she done? And most importantly, are we having a freedom of expression in our house? In particular, if we have a daughter in our house. I think these are some very big societal issues that we need to ponder upon. And that's precisely the entire idea behind conducting this kind of episode. And we are going to have much more, trust me. We are going to have much more. This is a social cause that we are taking it up. We want a lot of people to get into this. We want people to debate on this. We want discussions to happen. We want this awakening to happen. That's more important. So thank you so much, Sabina, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure to have you.
Be a part of this initiative. Absolutely.
Thank you all the viewers for being here. We'll be back. We'll be soon, very, very shortly. Thank you so much. See you all.